Under eyes, the most popular topic of conversation in my direct messages and emails is how do I get a brighter under eye without increasing texture? How do I get a natural looking under eye on a day where I want to wear minimal makeup, but I still want to cover up some of that discoloration? All the way up to have a lot of deep darkness under my eyes. How can I really cover that for a special event? So in today's video, I'm going to give you 5 different options, 5 different ways that you can apply your makeup under the eye so that you have something in your back pocket to try if your under eye is looking a little bit different one day or you have a different preference that day. So if that's something that you think you would be interested in, let's get into it. Grab your cup of coffee, tea, wine, whatever your beverage of choice is. We're gonna be chatting a little bit today. Everything I do on this channel, if you're new here, my name is Sami George. I have a hooded eye, I have mature under eyes, I have textured skin, and I have a ton of discoloration on my skin. So my frame is typically coming from the standpoint of somebody who likes their makeup to be effective, but I don't have the simplest face to work with. So that's kind of the angle in which we're gonna be looking at our under eyes today. And here's the first and truly most important thing that you can do. If you don't do this step, most of the other stuff is not going to be as effective, and that is prepping the under eye. We need to get some hydration underneath our eye in order to soften the fine lines and wrinkles, the divots, all of that we have going on under here so that our makeup is going to just lay smoother, but so you're working with a more plump and hydrated surface, which is going to help decrease that look of texture. So what I recommend is prepping your under eye for makeup. So this is gonna be a different routine than what you do at night. At night, you're gonna put most likely a thicker moisturizing cream under the eye. For the daytime, simply take something like an essence or a hydrating toner, these milky products, which I've already done. So typically in the morning, do you see how I have these lines and the skin kind of folds? Once I put this on and I let this dry, either one of these, this is the one from Rhode, this is my absolute favorite. If you're looking for a more affordable option, this one on Amazon is a great choice. Do you see how liquidy that is? Once you put that underneath the eye, you are going to have a more hydrated finish. This one is going to dry down. You see the difference? Look at the glow that you see here versus what you see here. So this is going to plump the skin. It's going to hydrate the under eye. Look at that. And it's going to make the surface simply easier to work with. And that is really important if you have texture underneath the eye. You want to avoid heavy moisturizers under the eye when you're getting ready to put makeup on it. The more you put under the makeup, the more issues you can presumably have. And if you are using Saint makeup, which is what we're gonna be talking about today, you wanna make sure that anything that goes under the makeup is silicone free, and both of the products that I just showed you are. Everything we talked about will be linked in the description box below. So your first step is going to be to hydrate and prep the under eye. Now, something to remember is all 5 of the ways that I'm gonna show you are really things for you to play with and try on your own and see what you like, as is this next step. So this is our balm. All of our makeup comes in these tins. They are magnetized, and it was time for me to get a fresh one out. The balm is silicone free, and it was actually created to be a multi-use product for eyes, cheeks, and lips. And the nice thing about the balm is it has squalene in it. So first we're prepping the skin, and now I want you to try putting a little bit of this balm under the eye to help additionally to plump it. But also, when we lay this down, this is not going to completely dry. So it is going to help soften and thin out the product that you're gonna put on top. So we're going to be working with a smoother, plumper surface that's also going to help you remember that less is more, especially in areas under the eye, because this will help thin it out. So I would try that and see what you think. Again, this is also less is more, but it is going to help. So when we traditionally apply our makeup, we're going to be putting on our main foundation shade, and then we're gonna be working with our under eyes. I have left this part of my skin with nothing on it for the sake of you being able to accurately see what's going on under the eye without me getting too close. So you're gonna see a complete under eye with an incomplete face, but I feel like that was better than kind of blurring that together. So let's talk about the simplest thing that you can do under the eye, and that is gonna be to brighten it. When you get a custom color match from me, one of the shades that you're going to get is going to be a brightening shade. Now here is my trick for you, is if you put that balm on there and you have a hydrated plump under eye and you're able to thin out what you're gonna be putting on top of it, now we can add a little bit of brightener, which when color matched by me is likely never going to be more than 2 shades lighter than your actual foundation shade. Because the lighter that we go under the eye, the more it's going to emphasize texture. So let's start somewhere that's going to give you a lighter under eye than the rest of your face, but maybe not so bright that you're fighting the game of texture. So we're doing no color correction. This is for my girlies that just want a brighter under eye and you want it to be soft and simple. So I started underneath this bag and out here. I have put that balm down and now I'm going to use the warmth of my finger. Your finger can be one of the absolute best tools that you have in your arsenal because the warmth of your finger is also going to help thin out the product underneath your eye. It's going to kind of break it down and make it more emollient. And it's going to be easier to spread a smaller amount over a larger area. So on a day when you just want a quick under eye, hydrate it, add some balm, and add a brightener, no brighter than 2 shades. If you're somebody that also has no real darkness under your eye or no color concerns, this can be your everyday routine. And now as you'll see, we are brighter than the rest of our face. It's a soft brightness compared to over here. We have covered up some of this, but it's still peeking through because we are going with a more natural looking under eye, but it is not exaggerating the look of texture. And I have a lot of texture. Keep in mind that I did hydrate that under eye and let it set for probably 15 or 20 minutes, which diminished a lot of kind of that surface level, like top level wrinkle that you feel like you really notice in the morning. So this is gonna be your first option. It is simply hydrate, balm, and brighten, starting below that line and at the outer corner and using the warmth of your finger to blend it up to the rest of your under eye. Number 2 is going to be for my ladies that feel like they have a very light under eye and it's almost distracting, or light parts of your under eye that you'd really like to make look more cohesive. So for me, it would be this area right in here. But some people don't have as much discoloration. However, they have this under eye kind of half circle that is very bright and it almost creates a contrast against the skin. Here's what I want you to try. Let's bridge the gap between the light and the dark to create an easier surface to work with and less contrast from the beginning. So we are going to grab the spot brush. This is going to be a great brush for many uses for the under eye, and I highly recommend picking this one up if you're somebody that likes a little bit more precision and variety in how you do your under eye. And we're gonna do something non-traditional. We're gonna take our bronzer. Now again, I've put some balm under my eye because I want to soften that area. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into the areas that are overly light and I'm gonna bridge that gap. So we're gonna start to create less contrast. And remember, I only have one under eye. So this works really well for somebody who does not have this darkness, because as you will see, from here to here, we are diminishing our contrast level. So if you have a very bright under eye and minimal to no darkness, try bridging the gap so that you have less contrast, and then you can decide from there. Do I just want this to be completely kind of neutraled out? I'm gonna put on my main foundation shade and be done? Or do I then wanna go back to my brightener? And now that I have less contrast to worry about, now I can brighten that under eye. And here's something important to remember. When we start layering our makeup, you always want to press. If I go in with a brush and do a circular motion, or I sweep the product back and forth across the face, we are going to start to muddy those colors together and it's going to defeat the purpose of what you have just done. So whether it's a brush or your finger or the Perfector sponge, make sure, again, underneath that trough, but make sure that you are using a pressing motion. Press the makeup into the skin, press it on without swirling it. And now that would be option number 2. Hydrate the under eye, put some balm so we keep our product thin, add a bronzer shade to the areas where we have a lot of light to diminish the contrast between light and dark on our face, and then brighten the under eye, outside corner, underneath the trough, use your finger or a brush to blend it out. And now we have a very natural look, but we have also reduced the contrast without increasing the texture. So that is number 2. For number 3, I've left that makeup on that we just did here, and I have taken it off here. So I'm going to assume that I still have some of my Essence or Milky Toner under there, but I did want to add a little bit of balm. I just really like that when my eye is dehydrated. I feel like it needs it. And the thinner the product under the eye, I can't emphasize this enough, the less it's going to emphasize texture. So let's talk about the product that was created to be like textureless makeup. So these are cream correctors, these 3 right here. Forgive me if I call them demi. This line was launched maybe 5 years ago, and it was known as demi color correctors. These use color science to treat areas of the face where you want to reduce discoloration or you want to add in color in a very scientific way, if you will. They have since shrunk the line down to the most commonly used products, and they have renamed them cream correctors. So we are going to refer to them as cream correctors, though anywhere else on my channel, if you've ever seen the word demi, this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can use these for under eye coverage today. And I want you to take into consideration this chart right here, and you'll see it even says demi color on it because this is the original demi color chart that we got. This explains how these products work. So essentially what you're looking for is, what is the color that I want to neutralize? If it is, this is blue or purple, which it most likely is for darkness under the eye, we're going opposite the color wheel. So if I see blue, I'm going to pick something orange. If I see purple, I'm going to pick something yellow. Now, a lot of these colors have overlap, but you do want to study your face a little bit. Cream correctors, they take a little bit of time. They are a less is more, like pinpoint precision application. If you use too much, your face will feel like a thick, cakey chalk, if you will, because these are pure pigment. Just like the Lisa Eldridge color correcting sticks or other similar products on the market that do pinpoint precision, the texture is different, and it is meant to be that way because it is meant to go exactly where you put it and not move, because we want to correct certain areas of the face, but we're not looking to have orange in areas where we don't need it. I know that can be a tricky concept, but once you get the hang of it, these can be so friendly to your makeup routine because they're great for just, oh, I want a little bit more coverage there. Or, oh, I have to run to the grocery store. I don't want to put on a full face of makeup. I may not want to do anything except diminish this eye bag. They are so fun to play with, and they can be a savior. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you over here for my makeup minimalist. Demi was created for the girl that doesn't like to wear makeup but has some concerns. We are just simply going to correct this eye bag here. Now, I have studied my face and done Demi for many years. So I know that what I'm looking at right here is blue in the under eye. It is deep, it is dark. So what I'm going to use to color correct it, that is going to be something that is in the orange family. Now I know these look a little pink. These are actually 01 and 03. 01 would be for a lighter blue, something that's a little bit more vibrant. 03 would be for something that's a little bit deeper. This is Y01. Yellow color corrects purple. So for me, I have a combination of blue and purple under my eye, around my nose, a lot of my acne scars. So these shades right here are pretty much my go-tos all the time. So the first thing I'm gonna do is show you, we are talking pinpoint precision. That little dot on the brush is all I want. And I'm gonna go straight into that bag line. And I'm gonna place it right there on the under eye bag, one little bit at a time. I'm gonna flip my brush over, and now I'm going to press. The same way that I was pressing in my makeup here, I'm going to go ahead and press this here. And you're going to see that that is slowly going to diminish. It's really amazing. So now we've actually moved the color concern. What do I mean? This bag is no longer here. So now you're seeing the discoloration underneath. Not everybody has that, but I have a mask of redness that goes across the face. This right in here is my purpley area. So I'm actually gonna take that fluffier end of the brush and I'm going to press on right next to that. And now I'm gonna actually use this to brighten up that area. And Demi is meant to be a your skin, but better. It is not meant to be by any means medium to full coverage. It is meant to diminish discoloration for the person that just has some things that they want to diffuse on the eye. But I just wanted to give you a basic visual of if you have darkness under the eye, determine if it is blue or purple. Those are your best two starting points, and determine how deep it is. And if you don't know, you just have to try. Demi is not one of those, see, I keep calling it Demi. Cream Correctors, and I love to have this little thing right here, this little shadow switcher is amazing because if I get too much, I can then wipe off the rest. Demi is, Cream Correctors are not something that I can give you a perfect color match for because the slightest deviation in color when you're taking your picture is all that I would need to throw off the color in the actual picture. But I can give you ideas of like, yes, it looks like you have blue and purple, so you're probably gonna wanna pick up 01, 03, Y01 or OY1, or hey, you have a lot of dark spots. Dark spots that are large, I don't recommend Demi for because this doesn't spread well across the face. But dark spots where you wanna break up some of the depth, it works amazing. You can just add little pieces of breakup and then you start to diminish that overall look. Or you can do what I'm gonna do over here and you can wear it on top of 3D foundation. There are a lot of videos on the internet where people are putting this under their 3D foundation, and you are welcome to try anything you want, different strokes for different folks. But let me tell you, the amount of product that you see them putting on their face is going to leave your skin very chalky. Do you see that? So when you see people putting globs of green on an acne scar or pimple, or you see them using this in this heavy amount, it was never meant to be that way, and it will increase texture unless you completely soften it out. There's a little magic that happens on videos when people are not necessarily doing the whole routine in front of you, where they may soften things. They may be using filters, I hate to say it, but it's true, or they may be saying that it's a natural look when really up close and personal, it looks like a full face of makeup. None of those are good or bad, but for the outcome for somebody who has a lot of texture, less is absolutely more. The reason why we're gonna wanna put this on top is that we are going to use a very small amount. We're not going to disrupt any of our makeup underneath because we're using pinpoint precision, and we're not layering anything on top of a texture that is a little bit heavier. So this makes a great final step, not so much a great first step in a layering process. But if you're somebody who wanted to do that bronzer trick, or you just wanted to put your brightener under your eye and you're like, oh, I have a little bit of discoloration here that's bothersome to me, you can put your Demi or your cream corrector, I should say, right on top. Again, one little tap at a time, place it directly on there. Don't sweep it all over the place because then you're gonna be changing the color that doesn't need to be changed. This is meant to correct the color that you want to diminish, not color correct an entire under eye or a large spot on the face. But there we have it. So this is gonna be your cream correctors when you just want to soften something, but maybe you're not wearing any makeup at all, or you're wearing a tinted moisturizer. This is going to be an added layer that you can do on top of any under eye routine. So that is option 3, the cream correctors. All right, let's move on to number 4. I've taken off makeup on both sides. I am adding a little bit of balm just because now I'm also starting to get a little bit of like increased redness. My skin is highly reactive and I've taken the makeup off underneath that eye several times. So here we go. Number 4 is the most commonly shown application method on my channel. Why? Because I feel like it's the easiest to learn for somebody who is new, and you will also be satisfied with your outcome. It's very hard for a new person to anything to be told, hey, there are 5 different ways. Guys, I could show you 10 different ways. And maybe we'll do a part 2 to this video, but there are so many different ways because there are so many different under eye textures, colors, preferences, how long people are willing to spend. So this is the way that I think is the most user-friendly to also get like a medium coverage result, something that you can be happy with right out the gate. And that is starting with a highlight, most likely Mango highlight as your color corrector. There's just something special about Mango that I can't scientifically explain it to you. But it is one of those very few shades where not only can I reduce some of that light under the eye, like what we were doing with bronzer, kind of bridge that gap, but it will also get rid of the discoloration on the under eye, which I was showing you with the cream correctors all in one. When you get started with something new, not only do you not want a lot of options, you also don't want to buy an abundance of products. Now, as you get more accustomed to things and you get better at your application, here's what happens. People are like, well, I want more coverage now. Now I know how to do this. How can I get more? Or now I get the makeup. How can I wear this with a tinted moisturizer? So that's kind of the purpose of today's video, is to show you have options and we want options. So what I'm doing is I'm applying a light layer with the small end of the blend brush underneath my eye. I started on the darkness. I blended it up where I had that additional like white, this light right here to bridge the gap. And then I came below to create some continuity underneath the eye. Now, what do I do if I want more coverage there? Now it's time to press. I'm going to make this really awkward face so that I am pulling the skin apart, getting it right on that discoloration, and I am now pressing more. If Mango is not your magical shade, I will tell you what is. That's why you want to get yourself a custom color match versus trying to go at it alone. I'm looking at very specific things to determine your color corrector, but do you see the difference already? It is like magic. Now here's the thing. Our color corrector has more warmth in it than is going to match the rest of my face when I add my actual foundation shade on. So this is going to be too warm. So step 1, Mango. Buff it on first, okay? Circular motions, give it this sweeping, really work it into the skin. Press it on for coverage. Now, go to your main highlight shade and tap it on top. If you're somebody that is willing to take the time to do this with a smaller brush, we are pressing. We are also getting it more precisely where we want it because the brush is smaller and we're likely distributing less product. But what we're doing is we're avoiding sweeping and swiping and circling, which is going to be the nature of something that is larger. Like this is the shape brush. It's just by the nature of the size, it's harder to get into these spaces. So we're missing areas, especially when we have creases and crevices, but it's also lends us to like kind of want to swirl or press in these bigger ways. And the issue with that is it moves your color corrector. The whole purpose of color correcting is to put it where we want it. Once we do that, we don't want to move it and we don't want to mix it. It's not these two shades mixed together. It's the color corrector down first with your main highlight shade pressed on top, no creasing. I have a trick for you though. Don't worry. If you get heavy-handed, I got you. Now, this is going to be the tone of the rest of my face when I apply my makeup. So we can still brighten. And believe it or not, we have now layered 3 products on the skin in thin, light layers. And we are going to get a much better outcome than if you do this. If you take your brush and you swipe it in here and you cake it on and you do this, especially if it's lighter than 2 colors. This right here, while it feels fast and is very, very popular on social media, is going to end up breaking up throughout the day. This is gonna pop through almost immediately. It's going to cake and crease into here right away. And it's going to feel like it's exaggerating the texture on your skin. It may seem annoying, but I'm telling you, this method of thin layers of the right color, meaning color corrector first to diminish discoloration or to add color back into the skin. I often recommend color correctors for people with hypopigmentation or loss of pigmentation to add color back in. Then adding our main shade on top to make sure that everything matches and our under eye isn't warm and orange looking. And then brightening the same way that we traditionally would. Now here's my trick for you. You want to use the Perfector sponge to make sure that you don't have any excess product and to make sure that you are marrying this into the rest of your makeup. I recommend that everybody use the Perfector sponge at some point in their routine, no matter how they do their makeup, if you're using this cream makeup. This is the Perfector sponge. It is meant to remove excess. It is not the same type of sponge that you apply liquid with. So if you have a sponge at home, you are welcome to try it. If it is pulling the makeup off your face, then you wanna go ahead and grab this one. The density, it was literally created for cream makeup. Now, if you have a similar sponge that you've used for cream makeup, go for it. You wanna prep this by running this under cold water. Wring out all of the water and then allow it to start to dry. We want this to be cool and damp. We do not want it to be completely dry, nor do we want it to be wet where you could drip anything out of it. That's just going to lead to issues with your makeup. This should be your photo finish safety tool. So typically, this is the last step that I do before I add on like a bronzer or a lip and cheek, and I'm going to essentially pounce it all over. Now, I don't have any makeup on the top part, but I wanna show you. We're marrying our makeup together. We're gonna be removing excess, particularly, again, I don't have any makeup here, but I wanna show you where we have wrinkles. Now, we wanna do this under the eye, particularly if we layer. Anytime you put anything under the eye, unless you're using demi correctors on their own, I recommend this. I don't care if you're just doing a brightener. I don't care if you're doing that bronzer brightener combo. This is going to remove excess. Anytime you remove excess, that's less product to settle in fine lines and wrinkles, but it's also going to give that blended look to the skin, and we're gonna remove any harsh lines. So if we have contour on the face, this is really, we're pushing the makeup into the skin, which means anything that's excessive, anything that's too much is just going to be deposited onto the sponge, and the rest is going to be laid onto the skin surface in a smooth fashion. This gem right here is amazing. So this is our 4th option and the most common one that I teach. It is color correct your under eye with your shade that I recommend for you, both in areas where you have too much light under the eye and too much darkness. Build up on areas of darkness by pressing more of that. Add your main shade very softly over top so that the color overall is the same as the rest of your face, and then strategically brighten underneath the eye bag and in the outer corner and blend it together. If it blends, it extends. So as a cream that is not drying down, meaning it's never like freezing on the face. Do you ever put makeup on, a liquid foundation, even a BB cream or a CC cream sometimes, and all of a sudden it feels tight? This isn't gonna do that. So what that also means though is that it's going to blend into a larger surface area. So if we start right up in here, then it's going to really get stuck in this lower lash bag. You have to remember, we have an upper and a lower lash line. We all have this right here. We want to keep our makeup underneath that and let the blend kind of go to that area. And then we are going to use our Perfector. Now, every single one of these application methods can be set in a multitude of ways. And this is really a matter of preference, how you like your makeup to look, how long you want it to last. I do recommend that you set your under eye, especially for those of us that have creases and crevices and like lower points, dips in where that skin starts to kind of crease. Your makeup, regardless of liquid, cream, whatever it is going to start to migrate to that area. So we do want to set the under eye, and I haven't shown it up to this point, so I want to make sure that I do. First things that we want to do is we want to make sure that we tap out any excess product that may have already made its way to those fine lines and wrinkles. That's why, depending on how long, like if you're really taking the time to do your makeup and enjoying the process, you may start to acquire a little bit of buildup in these areas. So go ahead and tap it. This is Vanilla Dust Setting Powder. It is a finely milled translucent setting powder. It works great for mature skin. It is not going to be a brightening powder. It is going to be something that sets that cream and therefore reduces the amount of movement that you have with the cream. Because let's face it, we are mobile people, right? We're talking, we're making faces. So this is going to continue this skin here to move up and down and side to side throughout the day. And if we don't set it, the cream is going to start to move to whatever those points are. So what I would do is I would take either one of these little puffs or a loose end of a brush. This is the looser end of the blend brush. And I would go ahead and set that area. Now, less is more under the eye. So even this much right here likely is going to give me a cakey look. So I'm going to work that onto the back of the hand, and I'm going to use what's left. And me personally, I like to start at the outer corner. Wherever you touch first is where you deposit the most. I have more texture here than I do here. Now I have texture here, but it's not as bad. And I'm going to work it this direction because I want to fill in those lines. Tap, 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 tap. Now, smile line and back under. So now I have reduced any glow that's there, meaning I've mattified it a little bit so it's less reflective, less noticeable. Areas where we have pores, less noticeable. But I've also set it into place, which is going to help with less under eye migration, and also it's going to help your makeup last. My preference is with a finely milled setting powder, or if you are very oily or it is the summer and it is very hot, you may need to use something that has a little bit more staying power, which is going to be a loose powder. And then we get into the world of colored powders and all of that, but to just keep this simple, set the under eye and you can lock it all in with a setting spray, or you can melt down some of that powder if you prefer a glowier look with a fixing spray. Our fifth and final trick for the under eyes is really for those that have deep discoloration. Now, for me, while I have discoloration, it's probably not deep enough for you to truly see the effectiveness of this combination, but I'm going to show it to you anyways, so that if you're somebody who wants to try it, you understand the application method. That is going to be dual color correctors, specifically in the shade Papaya, then Mango, then your main shade, and Brighten if you choose. And if you're like, whoa, 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 that's too many steps. This is not for everybody, but it is for the person who really wants to get rid of that deep darkness under the eye without having to wear a double wear foundation. This still allows you to wear an emollient cream and get a medium coverage without having to go all the way up to full coverage and completely erase all of kind of the color and natural look of skin. This allows you that option. And sometimes you have one point of the face that just has a little bit of extra depth to it that you would love to reduce that a little bit more. This works great for dark spots as well. We are going to start with the spot brush, and this is the shade, the highlight color Papaya. Do this with a small mirror, and what I want you to do is go directly like we did with those cream correctors onto that deepest point of discoloration. Now, I don't know if you can see here. I can see in my camera. this looks basically orange. Do you see that? We can't wear this, if you can tell, alone. If you got close to me right now, you'd be like, oh, she has a little bit of like a melony orange colored strip on her face. So this is step one. And some people really love this combination, like right here, underneath that bag, but where you have that deep darkness in the inner corner. Step one was that papaya. Now I'm either gonna go into the fluffy end or back to that small end of the blend brush, and I'm gonna do with my mango, so we use papaya first and then mango, what I did last time. Going into that area where it's too light, and I'm reducing the contrast. Small end of the blend brush. I am pressing. Don't move your papaya. Press right where I normally would have, even though there's papaya there, but it needs to go on top of the papaya as well. It is this combo. I don't know what it is, but do you see? I mean, it's like, it like erased my under eye. But it does take a little bit of time and a little bit of trial and error. But holy moly, if that doesn't just, I mean, even relative to this side, wow. Now, I would not recommend this if you're doing like tinted moisturizer level makeup. Your under eye will look much more makeup-y, for lack of a better word, than the rest of your face, because you're taking out so much of that color. But for medium to full coverage, this will work like a gem. So here's my mango. Now, again, we are this combination to orange. Main highlight shade on top. Bring it all back to matching. And now, tap, tap into my brightener, sticking to the side of the nose, underneath the eye bag, and I'm using very little. Outer corner, and blend. Pressing that on to remove excess. And I'm not like super heavy-handed. I'm just pressing the makeup into the skin and allowing it to pull up whatever might be extra. Now I'm gonna do an assessment. Is there anything else that I want to add more to? If so, maybe we'll do a little bit of brightener. But this is definitely going to be an advanced under eye technique for somebody that has deeper discoloration under the eye or on the face that they may occasionally or every day want to cover up. Once you get used to these techniques, they're all fast. It's just a matter of getting used to it and making sure that you're applying it in thin enough layers that you get coverage without getting cakey, right? Because we all know that's like the issue with the under eye is how do I get coverage without it sitting in my fine lines and wrinkles? And the tricks really are all the same. Hydrate with an essence, get that balm to keep the makeup thin, build it up in thin layers using a color science, color correction technique versus putting a very bright color under the eye and thinking that you're gonna mask, like if you had polka dots on the wall. If your wall was white and you had black polka dots, it's very unlikely that you're just gonna be able to come in with one layer of white and cover that up and have where the polka dots were look as even to where the white was. You know what I'm saying? You have to take care of that black first. And then as long as we're using thin layers and perfecting with our sponge, we can get this beautiful finish with light to medium coverage. Because I kept this so thin, I would be good to go. Now let's not forget, we want to add our powder. I'm gonna show you the other technique. This is the softer end of the blend brush. Put it on, tap off excess, and now go ahead and press. Again, my preference is to start at the outer corner of the eye, working in. Tap, tap, down the smile line, working up. And I have gone and set my under eye. Now I could use a fixing spray to melt the powders. I could use a setting spray for longevity, or I could be done. And that is where I think we are going to end our video for this week. You guys, if you thought this was helpful, please let me know in the comments below. If there are different techniques you're gonna try, let me know which one. And as always, if you would give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, that really helps out my channel. And I would love, if you're not already a subscriber, you would consider becoming one. We have fun here. We keep it real here. We're looking for ways to make ourselves feel more confident, even as the signs and effects of aging come up. Aging is a gift, right? But we want to feel as confident in that gift as we can. So consider subscribing and hanging out with us every week. Next week, I will be at Saints Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. Yes! And I have heard through the grapevine and very loudly on Saints social media that there are new products coming. So I probably will not post a video next week because I'm going to be gone for 5 days. However, the week after that, I'm guessing is when the video with all of the new products will be hitting this channel, because it'll give me time to get back in a day or two to film all of the new goodies for you. Now, if you want to see in real time what's going on, in the description box below is my Instagram. Go ahead and follow me over there and be sure to check into stories, and you'll have a full behind the scenes view of everything that is going on at Saints Conference. So that is it, guys. That is our video for today. I hope you found it helpful. I am so excited to show you all of the new products that are coming. So be sure to check back often. We'll see you very soon.